Found it. Thank you all. So it's 9:04 now, and this is the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee on Thursday, September 8th. Is it?
7th.
7th.
Thank you. And we do have a quorum present, and we are recording the meeting, and it's being held via Zoom. Well, good morning, everyone.
But it's Wednesday, not Thursday.
My apologies, Wednesday.
Okay.
So I had both the day and the date wrong.
That's okay.
Not such a good start.
We all showed up, so it's
Right,
okay.
so that's good. All right, so the first order of business are the minutes from the previous meeting. Thank you as ever, Mary, for a thorough job on this. Would someone like to move the minutes?
No, well, yes, I'll move them, but then I have 2 corrections. to
Great.
propose.
Dan, wait till we have a second, and then we'll open up for discussion.
Second, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. So they've been moved and seconded. Now, are there comments or corrections?
Yes. The first is a typo. Mary, in the first line of the second paragraph under finances,
Yeah,
you use the word it and you meant if in that first line,
right. Thank you.
okay? And the other one is the language, which is so terribly important under the warrant article. It's not, we're not voting on the purchase of Maurice's camp. We are voting on the community preservation housing restriction toward the purchase of
Okay.
Maurice's camp.
What line are you on?
Oh, I'm just at the article. I don't have it in front of me, Mary. I didn't print, I don't print what I don't have to.
Jan,
Right.
it's now on the screen. Do you see that, everyone?
No, I still
No.
have the agenda on the screen.
Show the minutes.
That's the main business, the main thing that we're
Right.
talking about here. The article, warrant article 7. It says that we're voting on the purchase of the Maurice's camp. That is not what we're voting on.
I just can't find the place where it says that.
I'm sorry, I don't have it. I don't have the,
It's at the bottom of,
Do you now see the
there we
minutes?
go, there we go, there we go.
So
Okay,
can
so,
you point out, yes,
Yes.
where is it that you wish to make the correction?
yes, okay, let me see if I can move it. Unable to move the screen.
Right, but I can. Jan, is it up or down from where you are?
Let's see, special town, right, yeah, go up a little more. Go on page,
2.
All right,
no, let's see, under finances here, we
Oh.
did that. Okay, so now page 2, please. I'm sorry I should have printed it.
that's all
out.
right.
I
Jan,
thought
we'll-
everybody would see it.
right. We appreciate getting it right.
All right, up more. Up more. Keep going on page 2. No, I mean, further down on page 2. That's what I meant to say. It's up on the computer. Let's see. Okay, let's see.
It has to be in that, if it's
It
an
does. Okay, let me look again.
amended motion approving
And-
Maurice's campground. You are correct, is that we are not approving Maurice's campground.
Right,
We are approving funding and a deed restriction
right,
for Maurice's campground.
right. And
Maybe we just change the heading.
Right.
Yep, it should say something about, the community preservation housing restriction,
Right,
borrowing or bond for part of Maurice's campground or something, but not what it says.
okay, so let's see if we can, so amended motion approving funding and deed restriction
Yeah,
for
that's
Maurice's
good.
campground, would that meet your requirement?
It would, but shouldn't we? Yes. The
Right,
only
we're
thing
gonna-
I might add is community preservation.
Okay, so
In
we could
there
say
somewhere.
CPA, we could say a amended motion approving CPA
CP.
funding and
Yes,
restriction
yes,
for Maurice's
yeah,
campground.
yeah, yeah.
In the heading.
In the
Yeah.
head.
Okay, got it.
Does that, Jan, does that work?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Because it just was not, we had overstepped our boundary.
Right,
there.
exactly. That would have been Article 6. This is really Article 7.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Good work, Jan. If we had approved the purchase of the campground, they'd probably come back to us and say, we need a lot more money.
They probably would have, but they might have canceled town meeting on Saturday.
Well, that's true.
It would have been all taken care of.
Okay, so I'm trying to herd the cats back in here. Are there any other edits or corrections? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote on the minutes of the August 24th meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Are there any opposed and any abstentions? Well, thank you very much. All right, so the next order of business is the finances of the CPA. And let me find this. I still see the minutes. So,
No, I
It's up
see,
on the screen. Estimates CPA finances.
see, that's the agenda.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Yeah, Gary.
We got it.
Yeah, we see it.
All right.
We see it on
Right,
the screen.
I'm sorry, guys, you saw it, but I did not.
oh,
So that's, I was just trying to get it up on my screen. Okay. So if you recall, the last meeting that we had, it was attended by the town administrator and some folks from accounting. And we were going through the numbers for the previous report that we had was only for the last 3 years. And that what we had done, actually Mary had done, was go through and look at it since the beginning of the program in 2005. And we looked at the money that we received from both the real estate override and the real estate tax override and the state match versus the amount of money that we had awarded in grants. And during the course of the meeting, there was a major correction. So the figure for budget reserves, which now says corrected, they said originally they had 76,000, and then they corrected that by a mere 630,000 to 706,000.
Wow.
So based upon that, we would have a balance of $1.283 million.
I like our balance better.
Well, it's still, I still think it's a work in progress, Jan.
Yeah,
So we did correct the open space reserve. If you remember, there was a error
Yes,
in that figure, so that was actually reduced. And frankly, Mary and I were talking, we're not sure that the historic fund balance is correct. But we will still leave that for the accounting people to come back and see if we have a revised number. But
That it would be less?
the historic fund balance likely is less. If you recall, we have given out a lot of money to the museum,
Exactly. Yeah,
which would have been historic fund.
Yep.
So, you know, the 10% set aside is approximately $50,000 a year, $50,000 to $60,000 a year.
right.
So this would represent, as you can see, about 5 years worth of
Right,
debt reserves, which
right.
honestly, we don't think that is the correct
It
number.
isn't correct, no.
Right, but
Because
that's
we gave
right.
them too much money, yeah.
We'll look to revise the historic reserves.
Mhm.
But for the purpose of today's meeting, this is the amount that the town has reconciled. And again, it's not since the beginning of the program in 2005. So, but it does show us with, you know, obviously now a significant budget reserve that we didn't have previous. If you look at the, again, the total receipts versus the total expenditures since 2005, we have a number, including the open space reserves, of approximately 1.77 million. Is what our estimate is of the total CPA reserve. So there is still out there.
500,000.
Exactly right. So we still think that there is 492,000 that has not yet been accounted for. Not that it's incorrectly accounted for, but they're still going through the accounting for CPA prior to I think the 2019 fiscal year. I did speak to the town accountant about it, and I said that really we needed to have resolution of this money for the October 15th grant round that we're currently in, so that we know how much money we can give out. And he said he would definitely try to look at it after town meeting. So,
Yeah, good.
so in terms of what we're going to vote on for the Maurices, the amounts above here, the fund balance and the housing reserve and the budget reserves are the critical numbers that we have to consider. So are there questions about the accounting now, or the CPA funds?
So Gary, one question I've got. So we don't know anything about how the housing, open space, et cetera, would look until we have more clarity about the 492,000, right?
Right. I mean, you are correct, David. I'm hoping that we will have corrected numbers for we have a meeting at the end of October to consider the grant round that closes on the 15th. And I'm hoping that we will have corrected numbers for that meeting in terms of what we can give out for grants.
Mm-hmm.
But we think we have at least the numbers that are on the screen at the top of approximately 1.2. The one that we're really feeling a little uncomfortable about is the historic reserves. But you know, we'll see what happens with that.
Gary, can you possibly send us a copy of this? I know it's likely to change, but just so we can keep track of the sequence of things.
Sure. Mary, can you incorporate this into the minutes and then send it out? when you send out the revised minutes, excuse me, the minutes of this meeting?
You want this spreadsheet, this sheet sent separately?
Yeah, it's not actually a spreadsheet, but
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
or just say we had a
Well, why
discussion.
don't I just send it now? I mean,
Sure, if you like.
yeah,
Sure.
send it, yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
okay.
Thank you. All right, so are there other questions about the finances at this point?
No.
All right, so then I'd like to move to the recommendations for town meeting on Saturday and tell you what happened with our discussions with both town council and the administrator. So let me see if I can put that up here.
Yeah.
Do you see the article, folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Good
So
work.
I had a conversation with the town administrator regarding Article 7, which we had previously voted on a couple of times. And they have made the following changes in the motion that will actually be made on Saturday. So the first one, that's of a substantial nature. Oh, am I really dark here? I just realized I didn't have my light on. The first one that it's a substantial nature is the amount that we agree that we are funding. So they have changed it from the 1,050,000 to the 645,000, which is the figure that we got from the appraiser. And if you recall, we had a discussion about could we use the amount $825,000, which would have been exclusive of the cost of the commercial transaction. But the appraiser had put in the cost of effectively selling
Oh,
3 lots. And the reality is this would be owned by the town and would be deed restricted and could not be sold.
right.
And so the argument was, could we use the higher number, 825,000 versus the lower 645, which is the net commercial appraisal? And I guess that the decision was, they did check with the appraiser who said he only felt comfortable using the 645 number. I'm paraphrasing here, but, and that town council, although they would probably have pushed it to 825, felt that this was the more prudent number to use. So this would be the total grant that we, the CPC, would actually issue, 645,000.
It has a basis in fact,
Exactly
Gary,
right.
so that's comforting, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's certainly, it's the line of it's the most conservative line, Jan, and you know, it's certainly one that can't be in question.
Right, exactly. And we've always tried to be very careful about that.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the big change in the amount in the motion. Now the second is the source of funds and how much money we can use up front. So the amount of money that we can use up front, if you recall, was the 41,000 plus the 144. So that was the 186,000 that we could use from our current funds. Even though they corrected the amount of money that we had available to us for the unrestricted amount, they decided that they didn't feel comfortable in increasing that amount. So the amount of money that we, the CPC, are approving for the upfront funding hasn't changed. What has changed is that, and again, was a town council decision. is that they took it from the fund that was called undesignated,
Mm.
and they changed it to the budget reserve. So in that number that, if Mary sent out that amount to you, but was previously on the screen, that's the bottom number, that is 706,000. So we're gonna take 144,000, same number,
Okay.
that as well as the 41,000, which is the housing reserves
Mhm.
that we still have in the bank.
Mhm.
Everybody with me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the actual motion that will be made on the floor of town meeting by the select board on Saturday. So, and again, it does have the deed restriction in there, and it does have for housing restricted at 100% of the area median income.
Good.
Gary?
Yes, you know what? Let me just stop and say, what I'd like to do is to make a motion to approve this article and have it seconded, and then I'll throw it open to discussion.
Don't move.
Thank you, Jan. Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, Michael. It's been moved and seconded that we consider Article 7 of the town warrant or the town meeting vote on Saturday, September 10th. Now, I would like to get comments and suggestions.
I was maybe it doesn't matter, but I was wondering about the phrase that says development of community housing on at least a 3-acre portion of said site.
Right, so what they're trying to do, David, the kind of hedging, I think this is more for public consumption, David. The only thing that we can do is the 3-acre deed restricted.
Right.
The town's intent is to develop a significant portion of the 21-acre site.
Right.
So that, I think that's what they're trying to do here, is to resolve, to explain to people, and I think we'll do this on the floor of town meeting, but that even though it's only a 3-acre parcel that we, the CPC, are deed restricting, or has to be deed restricted, the intent is to develop the whole or a substantial portion of the property for housing.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. I just was thinking it's okay with me to not change it, obviously, at this point. But
Right.
one of the ways around that would be to leave that phrase the way it is, but then under the deed restriction language later on, put in 3 acres to be clear that the deed restriction was for the 3 acres. But it's, I don't know that it's worth changing now.
Right, you are correct, but I think at this point, it would be difficult, David. And remember that the language that's in the description is not the binding language.
Yeah.
The language that at town meeting that it is really binding is in the motion itself.
Yeah.
All right, other comments or suggestions that folks have?
Well, they love leaving out that part about not more than 125,000 in any year.
I did ask that question, Jan, and
Yeah,
apparently town council didn't want that in the motion. Didn't feel it was appropriate to be in the motion.
right. I can see that's the case. I have little anxiety about it at this point because of the reduced amount of the bond. It's going to be so much less than it was going to be in the first place. And so the difficulty of having to pay more than 125,000 a year is no longer applicable.
Right, now, obviously, what we don't know is what's the interest rate going to be on the bond?
Yeah.
And what's the term that the town is going to look for? Our assumption is that the interest rate is going to be 4.5% to 5%,
Mhm,
and that the term is going to be 30 years.
mhm.
But although it's not part of this motion in front of us, the reality is that the math says it was 645,000 that we are approving for the grant,
Minus,
less the 186,000 that we are giving in upfront money.
right?
So the total amount that we, the CPC, are obligated to fund on a bond is 458,000 and change.
Mhm.
So, and my estimate, and that's all it is, my estimate is that that will be in the range, beginning at $30,000 per year and decreasing.
Right, good.
So each year, and I made a note to Mary earlier that when we consider at the end of October, the request for funding for this round, we will have to approve a motion to pay, if it passes on Saturday, we'll have to approve a motion to pay the first year bond of not less than, or not more than X dollars in FY '24, which would be
Let's track that, yes.
right. So that's just to let you know.
Yep.
So you are right, Jan. They took the 125 out. We think we are well within that
Right.
amount. I think it's largely a non-issue.
I can understand that from a bonder point of view.
Yeah.
whoever-
Exactly.
yeah.
And
Okay.
this gets swept by two sets of attorneys. One is town council and the other is what's called bond counsel. So they're actually lawyers that the town has that they use with the people who actually issued the bond to say what they are comfortable with.
I understand. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, are there other questions regarding this article? This is it. So the vote I'm about to call is for us to approve, excuse me, not to approve, to consider for approval, Article 7 of the town meeting of September 10th regarding the Maurice's Campground CPA funding and deed restriction. All right, I'm going to call the article, and I think I have to do this with a roll call vote. So as I call your name, if you could indicate your vote, that would be much appreciated. Rhonda.
Yes,
Excellent.
agreed.
Jim.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Geraldine.
Aye.
Elaine.
Aye.
I think I got Michael, and the chair votes aye. Is there anybody I forgot there?
Jim,
David,
aye.
votes aye.
Jim,
Michael
David,
did-
David. Oh, we got Jim.
Michael and David, why did I not see you?
and Jim,
No, you got Michael. David is.
David. I'm sorry, David, I missed you somehow. David.
Yeah. Aye.
and did you get Jim?
Yeah, you and he kind of simultaneous there.
Right, so Jim, let's just, for the sake of clarity, Jim,
Aye.
thank you, and the chair votes aye. So I think that's everybody.
Mhm.
So now we are voting unanimously to approve the funding of $645,000 and to support a deed restriction on 3 acres of land on Maurice's campground purchase. Yay!
Yay.
Indeed.
Oh, it's been worked and reworked so much.
Yeah, so many times, and God only knows what will happen on the floor of town meeting, but as far as I know, there are no other changes. I haven't heard any discussion.
That's-
Changes. So thank you all so much for that support. And feel free. I'll give a little explanation of this on the floor of town meeting, what we are doing here. But then feel free to speak up and add your thoughts on that if you think it's appropriate on the floor of town meeting. Okay. Any other questions on Article 7? All right, so the terms for everyone have been set and everyone has been sworn in, is my understanding. Yes?
Yes, they have.
Right, if you have not, let us know, but I think that is the case. Maybe I'll ask Barbara to comment on the next one, or Mary, if you want to, but the select board passed a set of requirements, let's see, a set of
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct.
conduct, yes,
Mhm.
for all boards. And we are now told that each individual member of the board has to actually affirm that. Mary, do you want to talk to that?
Yes, I think just Jan and Geraldine need to, well, I don't even think you have to go through me. Everything goes to the town clerk, but you'll just be asked by us. The rest of you come as representatives from other boards. So you should have received this also from your other board. And I think it would be okay to sign once and just notify me that, or I'll have Jennifer notify me when you've signed in with her. And it's just an acknowledgement, if you read it over, that you agree or that you have read and know about the policy.
Mhm.
Yes, and I asked Jennifer about this and she said one signature is fine for both.
Yeah, I would say. I just want to be sure I knew that you're all signed in.
Elaine, have you received anything as chair of a committee about this? No, nor have I. Sure.
Maybe you can have outrageous activity on your committees.
I would just like to get it cleared up as fast as possible. So I was sent it out as soon as I got it.
I'll look
Alright.
back. for
Very
you.
efficient, Mary, very efficient.
Elaine,
Who sent it out originally? Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look back. I don't recall, but
I'm saying yes, but it could have come from Rebecca.
so Mary,
Yes.
can you check with Jennifer? Has this gone to all the committees to be considered?
Yeah, it came out as a big distribution list. It didn't just come to me.
Right, it may be that, it just got lost in the wash, but anyway, can you just check with her and make sure it's all gone out? Maybe reiterate sending it out again and then.
Yeah, because some of the committees here have not seen it.
Has anyone else on another committee actually seen this?
No, I don't
Yeah.
even know what we're talking about.
Yes, it
Well,
came, came out to CPC, to Conservation Commission.
Okay, so you also, yeah.
I have an email from January saying to review the code of conduct, but there must have been one after that to.
Yeah, it
So
was just
it's in
approved.
August. Yeah, it was approved by the select board in August and
16th.
yeah. And I know the plan was to send it to boards and committees. If it's helpful, I can ask Rebecca, but Mary, if you're checking with Jennifer, maybe it's redundant, but I'm happy to do anything helpful to the committee.
Yeah, so it's just so we make sure we check it off and that we're in compliance with all the requirements.
Yeah.
So Mary, since you're there, today, if you would just double
I
check.
can check with both of them.
Right, and
Jennifer,
and if Jennifer
had
needs
not
to send-
arrived yet, but
Yeah.
Rebecca is here.
right,
Not
Okay.
to belabor and make this meeting much longer, but I found when I read it, as I did read it, as I was supposed to, that it served as a terrible commentary on the time that we are living. That the language that is used is so beyond any way that I would think people would conduct themselves. Was just really startling to me. That you would have to come up as select people with such a damning kind of paper. I found it extremely distressing. Of course, I'm an old lady and I view things differently, but there were never these kinds of behaviors among
Mhm.
decent people before. It was just very upsetting to me personally.
No, I agree, Jan. I mean, not that it's any consolation, but, you know, other towns, including where I work in Truro, are finding themselves in need of codes of conduct. So it's not just here.
Oh, I'm certain of that. No, I meant the times. in the
Yes,
United
yes,
States,
yes,
Not
yes.
personally Wellfleet. No,
Right.
no, I love this town.
Not just we Wellfleetians that are wild and crazy. But,
Right, no,
Yeah.
or rude.
all right, well, we will, hopefully, I mean, it's never been an issue here and
Mhm.
hopefully never will, but we will make sure that either directly or through your other committee assignments that you receive this code of conduct and hopefully sign off on. All right, is there anything else to say on this? The next item is the anticipated applications for the October 15th grant round. Any of your committees considering anything?
No.
Open space, you have some money now.
Yeah, Gary?
Yes.
The Housing Authority is planning to submit an application to refund our down payment and closing cost assistance program. We've helped 5 people with the grant we got several years ago. And we're especially hoping, should the cottage colony bylaw pass, that really might open up some possibilities to some of our younger people. And that would be $100,000. We'll probably be requesting to refund that program.
Very good.
Gary,
Yes.
this is, I heard what you said, Jim, but I understand from an inside source that it's possible that at the Historic Commission meeting tonight, they're going to be discussing potentially making an application for funds. I don't know how that'll go, obviously, but I think that may come up.
And I've heard from Penrose for they'll resubmit the request for Cape Cod 5 housing in Orleans. And the Recreation Department is talking about submitting for the awning at the bandstand at the end of the pier.
Good.
I would just laughing, David, is that we're such a small community and so incestuous. Everybody serves on multiple committees or has members, so.
Yes, I learned that at breakfast this morning.
Right, I was gonna say. I'm commenting on that.
The other thing, Gary, more pedestrian, is I had written down, I may be wrong, that the actual deadline was October 17th.
I'm sorry, you are correct, David. I stand corrected. The 15th is a weekend.
Yeah, okay.
So it is Monday, the 17th.
4 p.m.
Okay, so is there anything else? I would encourage each of you to go back to the boards and committees that you work on and say, you know, where is the need right now? And put in your application.
Mhm.
All right. So if there's nothing else on that, let's go to project concerns and updates. I have one update, and that is I did receive an email from the school that the playground is completed.
Oh,
Hey,
Great.
Good.
So,
Just in time for school to start.
Right, is the dedication, do you know, Jan, is the
know.
dedication this week or?
I don't know when it is.
Oh, well, they said they'd invite us.
Right,
Yes, I
think they-
haven't had gotten an invitation, so.
Okay.
I was thinking we could go try it out.
I like that. I
Well,
like that.
I would
No
encourage,
breaking the toys, no.
I would encourage everybody who goes to town meeting on Saturday that they could just walk across the street and look at the
Right,
playground that we funded.
We should take a group photo there. I think
Yes.
that
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll take a picture of
We-
Dave going down the
We
slide or.
should, that's one of the many things that we
Right.
should be proud of is this group.
So David volunteered to go down the slide, I heard.
I thought, how about head first? What do you think?
There you go. We are all of a certain age, I think, that perhaps that's contraindicated, but
Yeah, you're exactly right.
anyway, that is my update, and I will, if I have the dedication date, I'll send it out to you.
Great.
Any other project concerns or updates, Mary?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay, so then the next meeting, and I think there was some question about whether everyone could make this, but the next meeting, which we scheduled last time, was for October 26th.
Yes,
At
Okay.
9 o'clock in the morning, and that's a Wednesday.
yes,
Is that still okay with folks?
yes.
Yes.
All right, so that will be the date of the next meeting, which we will consider the grant round ending on the 17th.
Great.
Okay.
All right, so not too bad. I will entertain any other questions or comments that people have.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you very much, Jan. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. I thank you all very much for all the time and effort on this. I encourage you to go to town meeting on Saturday, and hopefully this thing will move along.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
So-
everything.
Mary, for all
Thank
your
Just-
work.
Thank
Gary,
you.
if I may, Gary, there is a virtual pre-town meeting tonight at 6:30.
Oh,
If
thank you
anyone,
for sharing that. That's
Yep.
exactly right.
Okay.
So
I'll see everyone there.
So if they need that link, is it on the town website?
It is. I saw it before. I'll confirm right now while we're talking. Hang on.
Okay.
Too many browsers.
If not, we can send out the link for the Zoom meeting.
Hang on. Yeah, it's listed as Wellfleet. It's a community forum event, but the link is there on the page.
Super. So any other comments or questions that people have? Otherwise, I will take the vote to adjourn. Seeing none, all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Thank you all very much for all your work on Article 7, and hopefully we will pass it easily at town meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you Saturday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Get out.
Recording.
Leave.